Oh,
it's
M5.
It's
Oh, what
M5.
the f? Slow down.
It's M5.
Is this thing on? You see, BMW, for many of us, is almost an enthusiast dream. Now, as of late, it seems as though that since the younger crowd has been getting their hands on them, we've been giving the side eye. But mostly for the last 40 years, BMW has shown us that it is the automotive people's champ, with many things coming out of the lineup, such as the 2002 3 Series, 5 Series, 7 Series, even the 1 and 2 Series. BMW has shown us that it is truly the automotive enthusiast dream. Now, fast forward into a few weeks ago, and the BMW M5 Touring Wagon has finally come out. Now, given that the Touring Wagon is a big deal for a lot of us enthusiasts, most of us realistically will probably not be able to get our hands on it. But that does not make this model any less important. This BMW M5 Touring Wagon represents what happens if an enthusiast or someone who is of interest buys the car that the automotive maker makes, but that doesn't mean there won't be any hurdles behind that. What's up, guys? My name is Chris, and welcome to the Breakdown, where we talk about everything cars, news, and reviews. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So, as I said before, BMW has released the note that they will be bringing the M5 Touring Wagon stateside, officially confirmed, and the people are excited. Let me tell you something. But the reality is that most of us will not be able to get our hands on this, but this is an important model for the lineup. Being that this is a very niche model and that sedans have been on the decline, SUVs and crossovers are becoming more fatigued for the average buyer, and honestly, we just want a good old-fashioned wagon. And BMW heard our cry and brought it over, especially since the success of the Audi R6 wagon lived up to the hype. But the thing is that if none of us buy this car, this could be a very detrimental problem for future cars of interest for the automotive enthusiast, and in this video we'll be talking about that. So with that being said, stick around and stay tuned, because you are now watching The Breakdown. Before I get started, we not starting a mother thing. Before I thank every last one of you, we have officially reached 1,000 subscribers. You guys have no idea how hard this was, and I could not have done it without you. To each and every person that subscribed, each and every person that commented, liked, shared, what have you, from the depths of my being, I really thank you. And hopefully we will be able to continue the show, continue the channel, and I will be able to bring you amazing content and value with each and every show that I bring. So before I get started, before anything, I absolutely thank you. Now, getting into the BMW M5, it is a big deal. About a year and a half ago, I did a video explaining the BMW M5, what it is, and the problem that I saw with it. Now, I know on this channel, I tend to seem a little doom and gloomish, and that's because that's what y'all click. But the reality is that the automotive industry is indeed a bit of a shit show. And that's partly because of some other things, including regulations and EV transitions, but we're not talking about today. Today, we are talking about the enthusiast and the automobile. And the M5 Touring Wagon pretty much represents everything wrapped up in a pretty blue and white bow. All right, so BMW alongside Porsche and Mercedes have come into the States seeing themselves or presenting themselves as the premier experience. We'll call it that. Next to the exotic, the next level down is typically BMW, Mercedes, and Porsche, and in some cases Audi. Audi has been on the decline in popularity. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad. It just means that they've been on a decline in popularity. But BMW has a pedigree for performance, and for the last 40 years, we have only gotten 2 wagons, being the E61 and the E34 M5 Touring, which none have been stateside. They've been everywhere else and not here. And the reason why that is because the United States is a bit of a precarious place, because in this world we consider crossovers and tall SUVs that aren't necessarily SUVs. It gets wonky, but for the most part, many manufacturers consider small compact SUVs that are a little taller, a little wider, to be wagons and not long roofs. Now, long roofs, I don't know how you say that. Long roofs are the slang for wagons, and Since the early 1960s, wagons have been on the steady decline in replacement of SUVs, but I'm going to tell you now that there is no replacement for a wagon. The last successful wagon that I can honestly remember next to the Audi A6 Avant would be the Cadillac CTS-V wagon, and that was a beast of a performer. And BMW, for whatever reason, decided to only give us the 328 wagon, and that was cool alongside Acura, and you typically see wagons in the upper tier of luxury. You don't really see them in mass markets, particularly because most people either prefer a sedan or a crossover. Now, given that this new M5 Touring Wagon is basically the pinnacle of BMW 5 Series class leading performance, we can expect this to only go to a handful of people. In terms of what the M5 is, I won't go into the brief history today because it's really not that important, because we're getting one for the first time in 40 years, so there is no history. But the thing is that the BMW M5 Touring is simply a beast. Considering that it has 5 different modes, which would be hybrid, electric, sport, sport plus, and comfort, this thing is got all of the tricks up its sleeve. Now, this will come as an all-wheel drive, but the all-wheel drive system is rear biased, and it does utilize BMW's famous X-Drive to be able to perform pretty much all of the things that you think you can handle with this car. And a lot of people think they're pushing BMWs like they think they're flooring it the way it's supposed to, probably not even cracking it wide open. Now, this will have the electrified version of the 4.4 liter V8, which BMW typically uses for their creme de la creme top tier cars. Like, most people don't see a 4.4. Most people typically see either 3 liter or 2 liter, and so this will be electrified, and this will be a big deal because it'll be pumping out a massive 717 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque, launching the car from 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and that is due to the electrically assisted motors, which will help give you a very unique combination of smoothness, refinement, and performance. Now, this also does have big steel brakes between 16.1 inches in the front, 15.7 in the back, and you can get the optional 16.5 rotors in total if you want those as well, but that'll probably come from the M Sport package, which usually BMW reserves for like if you just want to load that thing up. Now, this is a partially hybrid electric vehicle, or PHEV vehicle, and pretty much you can expect top speed to go up to 155 miles per hour, and if you get the limiter package removed, basically you can get up to 190. Now, this can travel up to 25 miles of electric range, up to about 87 miles per hour, and it absolutely makes the perfect blend of efficiency and performance, which is of no surprise because BMW, like Toyota and like many other manufacturers, have been doing hybrids for quite some time. In fact, if you do own a BMW within the last 10 years, you probably own a mild hybrid anyway, but that's besides the point. Now, getting into the crux of this, the interior space is what makes this wagon really special, because you can get the storage space from about 17.7 feet, beginning with the seats folded up, and roughly about 57.6 inches with the rear seats folded down. Now, the reason why many wagons don't really serve the same purpose as a sedan is typically because wagons have this negative connotation, for whatever reason, of being an old-timey car. And I mean, I ain't gonna hold y'all, I like a little old stuff too. I mean, I'm a little old. I'm a millennial at this point. But the thing is that this car is supposed to be in a niche realm where it competes with the Audi R6, as I said earlier, and pretty much nobody else. There are a few other car companies that offer wagons, like Subaru, who is probably one of the biggest of continuing the wagon, but most manufacturers have pretty much abandoned it. Now, the thing is that this car is a little on the heavier side, coming in at about 5,530 pounds. We can expect this to have a significantly higher curb weight than many of the other manufacturers, and that's not unheard of. The engine's big, it's a hybrid powertrain, and honestly, as we evolve into batteries, that's honestly light work in the grand scheme of things. Weight aside, interior space inside, and engine aside, we've gone over all those specs. The thing that I really want to touch on is why we need to buy this car. Now, coming in at $122,000, it ain't cheap. I don't know what to tell you. The thing is, wagons have been on the decline for many years, but that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. As sedans phase their way out, we are left with pretty much SUVs for the sake of practicality and, I don't know, comfort and safety, because people seem to think that they're safer than sedans. It could be argued. But the thing is that with wagons, particularly in the luxury space, have become absolutely on the decline, it is evident that BMW has hurt us. Now, here's where we have to make action. In America, wagons wagons have become the new crossovers, and so, or the crossovers have become the new wagons. That's the way I want to say that. And so because the crossover has become the new wagon, but there is no replacement for the wagon itself, because it offers the functionality of a sedan and the driving dynamics of a sedan with the practicality and the spaciousness of a crossover to some degree. Crossovers tend to be just a little bit wider, unlike sedans, but even still, the 5 Series at one point was top tier, especially in the early 2000s, but especially in the last 10 to 15 years, it has been on the decline, particularly due to bland styling and mostly just inaffordability and reliability. And the depreciation on those things is heavy. It's not as heavy as the 7 Series, but definitely heavy. And so being that this is a car, almost a forbidden fruit, we can akin this to the Civic Type R. And what I mean by that is when the Civic Type R debuted back in 2017, the dealers made this a to get. Now, granted, it is $122,000, and anything over $50,000, I can assume is probably not going to be that big of an issue for you. But for those of you who can't afford this, I strongly encourage that not only you not pay dealer markup, but more importantly, you actually attempt to find the best pricing for this car. The thing is, with cars like this is almost, how do I want to put this? Cars like this are giving unto the poors, like myself. Yep, I said it. And up at the top, such as the 7 Series and the 5 Series, the 760 Alpina and the M5 and all these other cars, and the E63 and the R6 and S6, all those good cars, right? Those cars are for the elites, but if they don't buy them, the manufacturer does not see a purpose in pushing those cars into a bigger audience. In the bigger scheme of things, most of us as enthusiasts would like an M3 wagon. However, if the M5 wagon doesn't do well, then the M3 will not even be considered. I can almost speculate that BMW is considering axing the 3 Series because the X3 and the X1 have done significantly well. And of course, as you haven't watched my video on sedans, particularly American sedans, go watch that. But I pretty much explained how the imports took over, and even still now between manufacturers like Honda and Toyota are struggling to sell their sedans, and that doesn't account for everybody else, the rest of the people on the back of the bus. BMW is probably considering what they're going to do with these sedans, and this M5 just might be the last hurrah. And if nobody buys it, it's going to beat us twofold, because on the front end, we won't be able to afford it. And then the collector's market / aftermarket arena will make it just that much more harder for us not to buy it. But anyway, if we don't buy this car, you can pretty much keep any hopes of an M3 wagon goodbye, and potentially any hatchbacks to follow after that. Yep, just pack it up. But all of that being said, I'm extremely hopeful that this will create a ricochet and a revolution and a renaissance for wagons, because quiet as it's kept, many of the wagons that are on the market today are pretty much left to the luxury segments and are not allowed into the mass market, particularly because they don't sell. And being that BMW is a standalone company, this can or not make or break the wagon segment, in the idea that nobody is going to pay $122,000 for a sport performance wagon, so nobody's going to pay for a regular wagon itself. But anywho, you guys let me know in the comments what you think about the BMW M5. By the way, go check out that video, what I said about the BMW M5 as well, if you've made it this far into the video, because it kind of lays out my concerns a little bit more quickly, if you will, in addition to what I just said. But you guys let me know what you think about the M5 wagon, if you think we will get it, and if people will buy it, and if it will stick around for the long haul. And with that being said, once again guys, if you made it this far into the video, I hope that you continue to ride along with me during this journey as I talk more about cars. And with that being said, until the next video, I will see you guys later.